Lad, rival nations. Not quite Rocky 4, but we're back here on Fog Entertainment, and we are back with another movie review, and we have got Rocky 5. Da-na-na-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na. Da-na-na. Da-na-na. Dun-dun-na-na. Da-na-na-na-na-na. What I like about Rocky 5, guys, basically, like, it starts off, I think pretty much, all the Rocky movies do it apart from Rocky Balboa, but it starts off, like, identically, um, off, from, they all kick, basically all the movies kick off where the last one left off, and this one does the exact same. It kicks off where he defeats Ivan Drago, and then is there a bit of a time skip? Because I don't know, like his son is just a lot older in Rocky 5 than what he is in Rocky 4. Like obviously, like there is a bit of a time skip between the start of this movie and the end, but the kid just seems the same age. Stuff like that kind of bothers me, but it's actually his own son playing Stallone's son is playing Rocky's son, so it's his own son in real life. Sage Stallone, I believe Sage Stallone is actually the one that sadly passed away. Yeah, he died in 2012. That is pretty sad, to be perfectly honest. It is. He died. Yeah, so he died. He died pretty young. If we're being real about it. But that's weird. Like, when this movie was out, what age were they trying to pretend to be? I don't even know what age they were trying to pretend to be, man. But, the movie came out in 90, so he was about, probably about 13 when they were filming, 12, 13, but they're kind of portraying him as, like, a 10-year-old. But, yeah, Rocky, as soon as he gets off the plane, there's a bit of a mental breakdown for the guy at the start, but it's because of the beating he took for Drago, so I think it was actually good, them showing that, to be perfectly honest. But then we have basically a press conference, and it's at this point we get introduced to Duke Washington. Damn it. He's like, "Hey man, you want to take on Union Kane?" Union Kane has to be like the biggest jobber of all time. If we're just being perfectly honest on the mom, this guy, basically just gets given the belt because Rocky can't fight anymore, which I just think's a bit fucking insane, to be honest. And then like, does he even fight anyone? I don't even. I think he has the odd fight, but Rocky then loses all his money due to Paulie. But Duke, played by Tony Burton, he's literally only in the start of the movie, and that's it. Which I was kind of shocked about. If we're being perfectly honest, he's only like the start of the movie. He says to Adriana get in, and she gets in, and she talks to Rocky for a bit. But Paulie basically shafts him. He gives like the power of attorney to the attorney or whatever, and then that basically shafts him with all their money. So Rocky's forced to move him to Paulie's old house. And there was a really sad touching scene where he's like, he gets outside the bar and he sees the gym. He's like, "Hey Mick, how you doing?" And then he goes inside, and like the place is just derelict. And almost brought a tear to my eye watching it. Like, it was fucking sad. It was just brilliant storytelling and brilliant writing and brilliant directing. And it was just brilliant everything. Acting, man. Then he's like saying the lines that Mickey's about to say. He's like reminiscing about the past. And we see like Mickey in this. I don't know. When does the actor Mickey die, actually? I'm going to look at that. Well, he died in 97, so there's no reason why he couldn't have filmed bits for this movie. Of course, he must have, to be honest. But Rocky then like restarts the gym, but he keeps on getting pestered by George Washington to come out for a fight. But he can't get cleared because he has to medically retire, but they try and keep it hush hush, but then it like officially comes out. But then George Washington, that guy, says he can get him out of retirement, he can basically pay off the doctor, so to speak. But Adrian's not for it, and it's like at this point, Adrian, just let the big man fight. Alright. Meanwhile, Rocky Balboa Jr., he is getting bullied at school. But Rocky doesn't really care because you know what? Tommy Gunn is here. So Rocky, that's basically the second half of this movie. I actually really enjoyed the first part. Not that the second part was bad. I just feel like the first part was a bit better. Trains up Rocky, Tommy Gunn, gets him up to like 22-0. Rocky Balboa Jr. goes on like a rebellious streak because his dad's not paying attention to him, which is pretty funny. I feel like Paulie was actually pretty good in this movie, despite the fact he shafted him with all their money. Adrian kind of just being a bit of a nagging bitch, if we're being honest. But Rocky, then we fast forward to Christmas. Tommy Gunn's having meetings with like George Washington. He says if he signs for him, he'll get him the title shot against Union Kane, which he ends up getting. Rocky then has a bit of a family meltdown. Paulie Santa, his son, then fucks off. Then Rocky talks to Tommy Gunn out in the street, and Tommy Gunn says, "I get nowhere with you, man. I'm signing the damn contract." And drives off. Rocky gets home. Adrian kind of gives him like a pep talk. He then heads out after his son, who's spoken at this point. He did stand up to the bullies. He had this awful fucking earring in, right? I don't know what he was going for. Smoking and having the worst earring on mankind. Don't understand what Rocky Balboa Jr. was going for. But then Rocky's like, fuck it, we've got the team back. Then it is the night of the fight. Union Kane versus Tommy Gunn. Rocky's watching it on TV with a fan bam. Tommy Gunn beats Union Kane relatively easy. I'm not really surprised, to be honest, considering how well Rocky trained him. And then he does the speech at the end of the match. Rocky thinks he's going to get thanked by Tommy Gunn. And Tommy Gunn's like, I'd like to put all the thanks to George Washington. Which Rocky can't quite believe. And I can't quite believe, although he can kind of believe it. Which then leads Rocky into a bit of depression. But then in the post-match press conference, Tommy Gunn is basically heckled by the press, saying that he's not a real champion. He beat a bum. When are you going to take on someone real? You'll always be in Balboa's shadow. Which then prompts the finale of this movie. Rocky's made up with his family. He's in the bar drinking with Paulie. And Tommy Gunn and George Washington, Duke, come out there, or whatever the fuck is second. George Washington, whatever. Come out. And then, basically, Rocky still turns down the fight. Then Paulie starts burying Tommy Gunn, says, you'd be nothing without Rocky, spat blood for you. Then he pushes Tommy Gunn. Then Tommy Gunn decks Paulie, and then that basically prompts the street fight. We have like 3 rounds, essentially. Rocky wins the first round. Tommy Gunn wins the second round. Rocky wins the final round, punches him, he smashes off the back of like a bus. Rocky wins in his like last ever fight before Rocky Balboa, so to speak, a street fight. Then George Washington's like, you can't sue me. Then Rocky's like, sue this. Dacks him. He lands on the bonnet of a car. The movie ends with him and his son running up the steps. He's like, I'm too old for this shit. Brilliant ending. Brilliant movie. I mean, I don't know. I'm actually torn about where I'd put this movie, to be honest, with the rest of the Rockies. But you know what, guys? It's fucking good. And I'm going to give it an 8. That may be high, but it was really good. And it's probably the one I've watched the least at the Rockies, maybe apart from 6, but it is good. You can't deny that. It's very good. It's great. But is it as great as the other ones? Only time will tell in a tier list. But I feel like it'll just your opinions will change over time, guys. But anyway, leave your thoughts down below, and peace.